Hello, hello. Welcome to another edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover of the Lunch Break. Takeover powered by JM&E. I am, of course, Kris Gardner, KG Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. You're watching the show on Thursday on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel or in collaboration with BS3 Network on YouTube or on BS3Network.com. Excuse me, going to share some Rice athletics news, TSU athletics news, and of course some Houston Cougars news on today's edition of the Takeover. And the Rice Owls news, I'm going to acknowledge the passing of a great man, not just a great football player, and a Willow Ridge legend, a Houston high school football legend. Rest in power, O.J. Brigance. O.J. passed away earlier this week on Monday. Here's a picture of him, courtesy of Rice Media Communications, Rice Athletics Communications, in loving memory of O.J. Brigance. Born in 1969, passed away 2026. And here is some info from the press release about O.J. Brigance. On Monday, O.J. passed away at the age of 56. He was a former standout linebacker at Rice and at the pro level who responded to a diagnosis of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, by creating the Brigance Brigade, which provides support and other resources for the families facing a similar reality. Brigance began his football journey at Willow Ridge High School near Houston before coming to Rice in the fall of 1987, where he became a 3-year starter and all Southwest Conference performer, while setting a program career record with 367 tackles. After going undrafted by the NFL in 1991, O.J. shifted focus to the Canadian Football League, first with the BC Lions, and later for the Baltimore Stallions, where he was a key part of a Grey Cup championship in 1995. The following year, he reached the NFL, signing with the Miami Dolphins. In 4 seasons with the Dolphins, he was named a captain twice and honored by the NFL Players Association with its Unsung Hero Award in 1999. He returned to Baltimore in 2000 as a member of the Ravens and led the teams in special teams tackles as they went on to defeat the New York Giants in Super Bowl 35. He retired from the NFL in 2002 and joined the Ravens front office the following year, working in player development and helping Ravens players adapt to the NFL's challenges. His efforts with the Ravens were twice honored as the best overall player development program in 2005 and 2006, and as the outstanding continuing education program in 2007. He was inducted into the Rice Athletics Hall of Fame in 2003 and later received the R Association's Distinguished R Award in 2013. He returned to the Rice campus in April of 2009 for Celebration of Courage, at which time the creation of the Brigance Courage Award was announced. The award recognizes a Rice football player who embodies the qualities Brigance demonstrated during his career. In 2012, he was again honored by his alma mater as one of its distinguished alumni during the 2012 Association of Rice Alumni Laureates dinner. In 2015, Brigance was honored by the Pro Football Writers of America with the George Halas Award, which is presented annually to the NFL player, coach, or staff member who overcomes the most adversity to succeed. The following year, he was named a recipient of the NCAA's Inspiration Award, which recognizes an individual who, when confronted with a life-altering situation, used perseverance, dedication, and determination to overcome it, and now serves as a role model, giving hope and inspiration to others in similar situations. Once again, rest in power to OJ Brigance. And so I wanted to share that. That's important. I wanted to just share that part of Takeover and Rice Athletics. And one more time, rest in power, OJ Brigance. Now, I'm going to discuss Texas Southern University athletics. Last week on the Takeover, I think it was last Monday, TSU made a public statement regarding the hire situation, the searches regarding the men's basketball coach and the director of athletics. The statement put out by TSU kind of poured cold water on a report from a national sports journalist, who stated that Seton Hall assistant coach Corey Lowery would be named the head men's basketball coach. At that time, TSU stated that no further statements would be made, and a Board of Regents meeting would take place on August 28th. Well, things change. Protests took place. Protests occurred. Alumni were upset. Men's basketball players were upset about the possibility of Corey Lowery being named the head coach rather than Sharon Chapman, who was the interim head coach. They wanted him to be the head coach, at least for this season. So much scuttlebutt took place that TSU decided to have a Board of Regents meeting on August 19th. At the Board of Regents meeting, the Regents heard from TSU President J.W. Crawford, who put forth his candidates for both the AD job, Mr. Ashley Robinson, the Jackson State Director of Athletics, and Corey Lowery, the Seton Hall men's basketball assistant coach. The Board of Regents voted and decided that they would vote in favor of Ashley Robinson being the new AD and VP for TSU, and Corey Lowery being the new men's basketball head coach. Never mind the fact that Corey Lowery reportedly, before he was named the men's head coach of TSU, contacted TSU's players, which could be an NCAA violation. Never mind the fact that the TSU men's basketball players spoke out in favor of wanting to keep and play for Sharon Chapman this season. Never mind the fact that just 3 days ago, Coach Chapman had a welcome to the 2026-27 season with the men's basketball players. It's on Instagram. It's on the TSU men's basketball Instagram account. That was 3 days ago. Never mind the fact that Jackson State Athletics is carrying a deficit the last 3 years of Mr. Ashley Robinson's tenure at JSU. Never mind those factors. Anyhow, TSU made it official with the vote by the Regents. Wednesday, Texas Southern University announced the hiring of Corey Lowery as the next head coach of the men's basketball program. Lowery brings 27 years of coaching experience to Houston, including 13 seasons as a collegiate head coach and an overall head coaching record of 266 and 73. Quote from TSU President J.W. Crawford III. Coach Lowery has won at every level and every stop of his career. Beyond constructing winning rosters and producing on the court, he is a maker of men off the court. I am confident that he will continue Texas Southern basketball's championship tradition into the university's next century. He's confident. President Crawford III is confident that let me do this. I'm going back to this. He's confident of that, even though I'm curious to see how many players will stick with Coach Lowery after this news became official. Because the players now can transfer. I mean, it's late, it's August, but they still could transfer to other programs. Maybe teams in the SWAC. President Crawford is confident in spite of alumni, famous alums, well-sourced alums, displeased with this entire process. The coaching search, the AD search. So we'll see how this all plays out. I'm not sure Coach Lowery's going to have a team. I'm curious to see how many players are going to stay with him and stick with him. Hell, I'm curious to see if the NCAA, not that their enforcement means a hill of beans anymore, will put him on any sanctions or anything for the phone calls he made while he was still Seton Hall assistant coach. But back to the presser. Lowery arrives at Texas Southern after 4 seasons as an assistant coach at Seton Hall University, where he was part of a staff that earned 42 wins, the most in Seton Hall history for a coaching staff in its first 2 seasons, and capped the 2024 season with an NIT national championship. Notice he's been there 4 seasons, but the presser talks about the first 2 seasons. Prior to Seton Hall, Lowery spent 2 seasons as head men's basketball coach at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. His inaugural season opened with a 3-0 start before being discontinued due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In his first full season, 2021-22, Lowery led Lincoln to a second-place finish in the CIAA Northern Division after the team had been picked to finish 10th in the preseason poll. The turnaround earned him CIAA Coach of the Year honors. Also Wednesday, Texas Southern University announced the hiring of 2-time National Athletics Director of the Year, Ashley Robinson, as the new Vice President and Athletic Director. Robinson is one of the most accomplished and decorated athletics administrators in the country. He comes to Texas Southern after 6 transformative years at Jackson State University. So he's going from one SWAC school to another SWAC school, where his leadership guided the university into a national HBCU powerhouse, both on the field and in the classroom. Quote from President Crawford. When we began this search, my goal was simple: to identify an exceptional leader who has the leadership and acumen to take the university athletics to the next level of sustained excellence. I am confident, there's that word again, I am confident Mr. Ashley Robinson has the capability to do so. I look forward to working with him to not only elevate our program on the national stage, but to also achieve measurable outcomes for our student athletes and memorable experiences for our fans. Well, he's already got some of those throughout this whole process. Robinson is a 2-time National Athletics Director of the Year, earning the honor from the Black Student Athlete Summit in 2023 and from the National Association of Collegiate Directors of Athletics, NACDA, in 2022. During his time at Jackson State, the athletics department captured 19 championships and won the C.D. Henry Award for the SWAC's Best All-Around Men's Sports Program in 2022-23. Robinson's path to Texas Southern includes a successful run as Director of Athletics at Prairie View A&M University. Yes, this will be his third SWAC school. Yes, from 2013 to 2019, where he was later promoted to Vice President and Director of Athletics. At PV, he oversaw 6 conference championships, the construction of a new football stadium and athletics administration complex, a track and field complex, and a soccer field, along with baseball and softball upgrades. In the 2018 NCAA Academic Progress Rate Report, all 18 PVAMU athletics teams exceeded the NCAA mandated benchmark with 7 perfect scores. So Ashley Robinson, from Prairie View to Jackson State, now to Texas Southern. We'll see how it all plays out for TSU and President J.W. Crawford III. This whole process, many people connected with TSU are not thrilled with the process. Some are not thrilled with the results. Some are not thrilled with the hires. We'll see if it all works. We'll see if it all happens the way and works out positively, like President Crawford and apparently the Board of Regents believe. That will lead us to the break on this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover of the Lunch Break, powered by JM&E. Takeovers will be quicker, not really the full hour for a while, but I'll get back to that hopefully at some point. Just can't promise you when that's going to be. But after the break, I'm going to play comments of part of my interview with Rice Owls women's head coach Lindsay Edmonds from a few days ago. And then I'll share some Houston Cougars athletics news from their first taste testing event that will become an annual thing that took place Tuesday at TDECU. I touched on it. I mentioned it on last week's Takeover, but I was there Tuesday and got a chance to partake in some of the food. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on everything I tried Tuesday night. I'm looking forward to trying and tasting some of that food again at some of the games this season, including hoops season once it starts, because you all know, if you follow me in the Roundball Review, only thing football season means to me is basketball season is right around the corner. But you're watching this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover of the Lunch Break, powered by JM&E on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel, and also in collaboration with BS3 Network on their YouTube channel, and also BS3Network.com. I'll be back in 90 seconds.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover of the Lunch Break. Throwback Thursday style. The Takeover is powered by JM&E. I am, of course, KG Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. And at this time, before I get into the video interview with Lindsay Edmonds, Rice Owls women's hoops head coach, take a moment to thank these supporters and members in the Houston Roundball Review online business directory. Thank you to the African Center of Wellbeing. Thank you to Be Elite Basketball. Thank you to Byron Riley CPA. Thank you to Pinto Leon Law Firm. Thank you to Star Pizza. Thank you to United Sports and Entertainment. Thank you to VIP Realty. And thank you to the Saxenian family. If you are interested, willing, and able to become a member in the online business directory, email advertise@therr.com. Once again, advertise@therr.com. One more time, advertise@therr.com. Advertise@therr.com. Before I get into and play comments from Coach Edmonds, give you an update on the streaming platform and Folks Talkin Sports. Sunday, this streaming platform, I guess for lack of a better word, had a security breach or an incident, which resulted in the platform being down and impacted a lot of its customers, including me and AD Moore. And nearly all of our images, all of our videos were impacted and affected and gone from the library. All of it. All of it's gone. So I spent the last few days trying to upload images and rebuild the studios and done the best I can. So obviously that has impacted shows. And that's why there was no Folks Talkin Sports on Sunday. Aiming to have one this coming Sunday with TSU women's basketball head coach Vernette Skeete as special guest this Sunday on Folks Talkin Sports. Y'all know, you follow me in the Houston Roundball Review. I'm very, very, very passionate about covering women's basketball, specifically women's college basketball. So any chance I get, opportunity I get to speak with the head coaches and they have time to speak with me, I appreciate it. And I share their comments on my platforms. And the next opportunity will be this Sunday on Folks Talkin Sports, 7 p.m. Central, live with TSU head coach Vernette Skeete, discussing the Lady Tigers and the upcoming 2026-27 season. But now you're going to hear comments, part of my conversation with Lindsay Edmonds, the Rice Owls women's basketball head coach. And I'll be back after these comments from Coach Edmonds to wrap up the show with my take on what I ate as part of the Houston Athletics first taste testing event that took place on Tuesday, August 18th. But first things first, here is me and head coach Lindsay Edmonds discussing Rice Owls women's basketball. This will be my first interview in a long time since I started working at my new job. So I'm Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review, and with me is no stranger to chatting with me, but it's been a while since I've seen her and spoken with her, and I'm speaking with Lindsay Edmonds, the head coach of Rice women's basketball. First off, it's good to see you, and how are you?
It's good to see you as well. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. Summer's been a lot of fun. My daughters and my team have kept me very, very busy, but I wouldn't have it any other way. So it's been an awesome, amazing summer, and almost time to hit the ground running with school starting back up for Rice next Monday. No, not next Monday, the following Monday.
Okay. I have not been, did not go to a lot of games last season because of changes and things of that sort, but I kept up with the team. So I want to get your thoughts on great wins, long winning streak, but did not
Yeah.
end in a berth in the NCAA championship. So how do you grade, or how do you think of, when you look back at last season, how do you describe it to yourself?
It was incredible. It really was. It was a remarkable season. I knew that we could be good. I didn't know how good we could be. 23 games in a row, 29 wins in the season, both program, records of all time for Rice. There's so many incredible moments that, you can sit back on and you can remember. Was I disappointed that we lost the championship game? Absolutely. Was I disappointed that the selection committee didn't see us, worthy of an at-large bid? Absolutely. But still, when I look back on the year and all the wins that we had and winning a regular season championship the way that we did, it was such an incredible season. But we do feel like we left something on the table. And we know that we have something that we have to try to reach for, and we want to try to get really, really bad this year, and that is getting back into the NCAA tournament. So we all know it was incredible, but we all have something that we are still yearning for and still wanting for and still working for, and I like that we have that motivation.
After the committee did not select you guys for an at-large berth, did you contact anyone on the committee for feedback or their rationale of why they didn't choose Rice?
Yeah, I mean, they said it was a lack of strength of schedule in non-conference, which, our net was in the 60s, and there's I think we were 64th, and there's that many teams that are getting into the NCAA tournament. So, there was a couple of losses that hurt us, and I think one was in November, so that one it was a 1-point game too, and so I definitely have lost sleep over that multiple times. But overall, ultimately the committee is not seeing American in its current state as a multi-bid league, and we got to do everything we can in our power to change that. And I think everybody has to pick up their game and pick up their strength of schedule and who we're playing. It hurt us too that we had some really great programs on our team, on our roster in the non-conference that had off years for them, and that didn't help us as well. And that's something that's really, really hard to determine, and it's something that's really hard to know. So there was some historical very good teams that win their conference that unfortunately didn't win their conference last year, and that didn't help us the way we thought it was going to.
Based on that feedback and based on what you learned, what changes, or did you make changes to the non-conference schedule for this coming season?
Yeah, we had already had our non-conference done for quite some time. So the one thing that we are doing this year is there's an MTE that's being done with the American A10, Missouri Valley, and Ivy League, where the top two teams of each of those leagues are getting into an MTE. And so that should be two very quality games for us. I'm hoping that it will be two quality games for us. We still have Princeton on our schedule. We still have UNLV on our schedule. And we also have the rivalry with Houston on our schedule as well too. So we feel like we have some good games on our schedule. We just got to make sure we take care of business and win those 4 or 5 games that we feel like are the heavier hitters on our non-conference.
Have you spoken with people, administration in the American conference level about, hey, we need the rest of our schools in the conference to lift up, rising tide, that kind of thing? Have you had conversations on that level?
Yeah, we talked about it at great length at our spring meetings with the American, and we were all challenged really hard to elevate what we're doing with administration support, but also from non-conference scheduling to winning games to rev share to all the things. And so there's definitely a lot of things that we need to do on our part to get us back to the multi-bid league. The change in the net hurt American as well too. Anything 95 and below at home is considered a quad 4 game. And so with the exception, I believe, of us in South Florida and maybe East Carolina, everybody else was considered a quad 4 game in our league at home. So that didn't help us at all. So that hurts too. The net change really hurt the American because, before you're talking quad 4s or like, I don't know if I can even remember now, but 200s, right?
I remember.
And now we're talking 95s or quad 4s. Like that's hard. So that definitely has changed the dynamic of the American. But we now have to go through a process to get our non-conference schedules approved by the American, which we didn't have to do that before. It was like, here's a guideline of some like types of games we want you guys to play, but now we do have to like have approval with our non-conference. So maybe that can change up a little bit as well too.
Okay. I was under misperception then because I knew about the guidelines and things of that sort. I thought it was part of the approval as well. That if the conference did not, all right, well. So do you take that as a positive step going forward for you, for Rice, and the conference overall for women's hoops?
I hope so. I think our commissioner is really behind women's sports and really behind women's basketball in particular, and he wants to see us get back to a multi-big league. So I think he's willing to do whatever it takes. I think he's willing to push the presidents and push the ADs to give women's basketball the support that they all deserve. But we as coaches did say, like, there's a lot of fear right now with most coaches because they don't know what their rosters are going to look like from year to year. So challenging yourselves in the non-conference when you don't know what your team is going to look like is something that's scary for a lot of coaches. We have been very fortunate with not having a lot of turnover and not having to completely rebuild our roster every year. So we have a good feeling of what our roster is going to look like from year to year. So, we're ramping it up this year with the MTE. That's going to be really good. And next year, Coach Nick and I have already started working on our schedule, and it's going to be even more challenging that from everything that we've learned, what the areas we need to pick our games up at. So we feel better about, this season and next season with our knowledge of what we need in case we are to slip up and lose a championship game, how we can maybe get in.
Here you have part of my conversation with Lindsay Edmonds, the Rice Owls women's basketball head coach from a few days ago. Talking that was about Rice not winning the American Conference Tournament Championship and not earning the automatic berth to the NCAA Women's Tournament, even though Rice had won 29 games and 23 in a row during the regular season and up to the American Conference Final. But they did not win the championship game, and because of non-conference stumbles, because of not enough quality teams in the American, Rice did not earn an at-large berth. But as you heard, part of Rice's non-conference schedule includes a matchup against the Houston Cougars and head coach Matthew Mitchell. That game will take place on Friday, December 11th. Will be Rice's Education Day, Kids Day. I think tip time will be 11 a.m. Lots of kids. Coach Edmonds is hoping, and she's urging her marketing department to have Tudor Fieldhouse filled with elementary kids screaming their heads off, enjoying the game, enjoying the atmosphere. Kids Day, education games, they're loud. I've been at them at Rice, UH, and I think TSU. The kids, they're thrilled to be out of school, one, and then two, they enjoy basketball. They may not know who the players are, or even the teams they're watching, but they enjoy the scoring. They enjoy defense. They have a good time. But as a media person, and as a fan, if you're not used to screaming kids for 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours, bring you some earplugs. But it's a lot of fun had by all, and it's a great crowd. And usually for UH women and Rice women, it could be the largest attended game, their home game in a season. Now, want to acknowledge this, and I'll say what the date that I mentioned about Rice UH women, December 11th. The members of the Houston Roundball Review YouTube members only section knew about that, I think, 2 months ago, because I learned about it that long ago. So those members, as I've said, and I stayed and reminding people and encouraging people to become members, membership does have its privileges. You do learn info first, and sometimes it's exclusively members only. So if you are interested in becoming a member, there are 2 tiers: the All League tier, the All World tier. All League tier, price of $2.99 per month. You get early access to new videos, photos, and status updates, loyalty badges, emojis. And then the second tier is the All World tier for a price of $4.99 per month. In addition to the All League perks, you get members only YouTube shorts, members only videos, and members only live streams. And those member only live streams will be starting soon. Scan that QR code or click on the join button as you're watching on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel. Now, shifting gears, these closing moments of this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, powered by JMNE Takeover, Throwback Thursday. Couple of pictures, 2 or 3 pictures from Tuesday's first taste testing event for media and content creators. This is a picture of the Smokehouse dog and the All-American dog. All-American dog, which, it's kind of plain. You can have that mustard, onions, whatever. Smokehouse dog has some chopped brisket. It's good. I think I tried just about everything offered to the media and content creators, but because, hey, folks were curious how things tasted, they asked me, I want to let them know what I liked. And I did. Smokehouse dog, barbecue pulled pork, shaved red onions, bread and butter pickles. So, hey, I got to do what I got to do. I mean, you ask, I'm letting you know what I liked. I liked Smokehouse dog. It was good. The All-American dog, I don't think I tried that, though. It's chili, cheese, chopped onions, and mustard. So, as usual, what you'd expect. Next, the Steakhouse dog and the Rodeo dog. I tried both of these. I like these. Not as much as Smokehouse dog, but Steakhouse dog. No, I didn't have the Steakhouse dog. But Steakhouse dog, burgundy mushrooms, fried onions, and steak sauce. Rodeo dog, pollo asado, pico de gallo, guacamole, and tortilla chips. So this is all part of the gourmet franks being offered and provided at TDECU for Coogs football games this season. The plain dog, this is what it is. It's just a beef wagyu dog on a bun. But the Cajun dog, that's what I tried. That's the first thing I tried. Love the Cajun dog. Crawfish etouffee, shoestring onions, and the classic remoulade. Love that. Love that. In addition to the dogs, there's also the game day lemonade, strawberry, peach, and mango flavors. Enjoyed that. You can also, if you're an adult and, of course, of age, you can purchase a shot, a single shot, or a double shot. Could not enjoy that perk at the taste testing on Tuesday, unfortunately, but I will do that at a basketball game. I promise you that, because I am well past of age. But the lemonade was very good, and there will be some themed lemonade flavors at the Houston Blue game, Houston Blackout game, etc., blackberry lemonade, things of that sort. But the upgrades, the food items were good. Also, Urbe, U-R-B-E, Urbe, not herb, Urbe, U-R-B-E. Mexican street tacos, street food. Mexican street food had the taco was outstanding. Superb. Taco was outstanding. Get you a taco. Get you a street taco from Urbe. It's outstanding. But as I mentioned, the taste testing was an invitation only to media, but also content creators. And I want to credit Houston Athletics for inviting content creators because it's a sign of the times. The traditional media, as I'm part of the traditional media, we are, in some cases, some colleagues, some outlets are obsolete. But the content creators, I think there was Joseph Duarte from the Chronicle. There was representation, obviously me, Houston Roundball Review. I think radio station was there. CW39 had some representation, but there wasn't a lot of traditional media there. But there was a lot of content creators, a lot of them. So, younger generation, younger demographic. So it's good for Houston Athletics to reach out to them and have them there so they could provide the content on their platforms. So if you follow them on Instagram and TikTok, you've seen the footage. You've seen them take video and tasting the food and commenting on it while they were at TDECU. So that is a different way to reach your audience. So salute to Houston Athletics, because y'all know I'm critical when it's warranted, but I also want to give credit to my alma mater when it's due. So salute to them for doing that and having the content creators as part of that event. So that will do it for this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover. I am going to put together a members only video. So one more time, maybe one or two, because I have some news to share based on what I heard Tuesday at the event, and let my members only hear it first. Membership has its privileges. One more time, 2 tiers. All league tier, the all world tier. It's a monthly automatic renewal. All league price, $2.99. The all world price, $4.99. Scan that QR code or click on the join button you see on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel. Thank you as always for your time, interest, and support. Wrapping up today's show, touched on, acknowledged, and in memory of the passing of Rice alum O.J. Brigance, R.I.P. Mr. O.J. Brigance. Also discussed Texas Southern University Athletics and their making an official hiring of Ashley Robinson as the new director of athletics, and Corey Lowery, the new men's basketball head coach. In some news, you saw the conversation with Lindsay Edmonds, Rice Owls women's basketball head coach. Reminder, TSU women's hoops head coach Vernette Skeete has agreed to be a guest on this Sunday's edition of Folks Talkin Sports. So hopefully no more website issues with my streaming platform, and we'll be able to provide FTS this Sunday starting at 7 p.m. with Coach Skeete. And lastly, give you my thoughts and showed you some pictures from the August 18th taste testing at TDECU Stadium, brought to you by Houston Athletics. Did a good job overall. It's a very good job. So that will do it. Thank you for your time. Smash that like button here on the Houston Roundball Review. Become a Houston Roundball Review subscriber, but also become a Houston Roundball Review YouTube member where you receive exclusive info. Until next time, and the next edition of The Takeover, spread the word about this show, spread the word about the BS3 Network, and see you next Thursday. You know this, since 1994, the Houston Roundball Review. Local name, global perspective. Take care. Peace.